Okay, so this is me getting ready to do a V-neck modification. This is a Squier Affinity Telecaster neck, and I'm going to do a modified V, because I'm only going to do the V from the heel, well, just above where the connection is, to about where the 4th fret is, and I have this marked off with pencil. And some necks, like I think the 50 Strat necks, go all the way to the end. I didn't like that because I've done 2 other necks like this, a Starcaster neck and a Squier Bullet. And of course the Starcaster has a big clubby neck that it just didn't feel the same, but I was able to get it done. But both those necks I did a full V, which is I think like the 50s Deluxe Strat does that. I didn't like it all the way down, so I'm going to stop about the 3rd or 4th fret and leave the rest of it. I might make this thinner just for the regular part of it, but it's not that bad. I don't like super thin necks. That's one thing you have to determine, is how thin the neck is, how much of a V can it take. Because I have a Squier Affinity Strat, the neck is kind of thin. I may not do it, may or may not do it when I get to it, when I start to work on that guitar more. It's easier with the rosewood because you can see how far to go over. I've just drawn some lines to kind of see how far over. You have to determine how much of a V you want. Do you want kind of a mellow V? Do you want a lot of a shoulder, a small shoulder? With the skunk stripe with rosewood, chances are you're going to sand over it when you're shaping it. You're going to need grain filler, otherwise after you paint it you're going to have all the little pores in it, which is not a big deal if you're going bottom dollar by doing this yourself anyways. But it's something that might bug you that eventually, because I think grain filler is like the smallest size they sell it in is like a quart size. And you could probably use clear and be decent, but they do make a special one for rosewood that will be like the colors that you see on a stock guitar when you see it. This is just a special 2x6 that I keep for doing work on bolt-on necks. It's specially measured out the size, so I can, when I do fret leveling, I usually use it. But I'm going to go ahead and clamp this down to this table here. And I usually have a sandbag, but I'm going to use some rolled up cloths and whatnot after I tape off this headstock. And we'll be good to go on that. Helps if you have some files. The main tool we're using to do the main shaping is a handheld belt sander, and this is probably about the cheapest one out there. This is a Ryobi. Takes an 18-inch belt. I used to have one that was more powerful that took the 21-inch belt, and so the 21-inch is a little bit more aggressive than this one. Also helps to have a finishing sander with different grits. I have like 100, 150, 220, 240, 320, 420 for the final sanding. This is just a special block of rubber for cleaning the belt of the sands. Right now I have a 50 grit on there, but it's kind of worn out a little bit, so it's not going to be that aggressive. You could probably try an 80 if you have a brand new one. Hopefully this is not going to make such deep scratches that won't be impossible to take out. If not, I'll have to go out and buy an 80 because I think I used the last one. You could use a desk mount, table mounted belt sander, but it's easy to see it when you're using a handheld one. Okay, so now I'm all set up. I just got a bag of I taped plastic around the headstock, and then I've got just a shopping bag full of some rags to prop that neck up there. I've got this clamped down, and all this there. You can either go perpendicular to it and kind of vary it. You can use combination. I'm not going to video while I'm doing this because it throws up a lot of dust and I don't want to get in the lens. But you can use combination. A little bit of the belt sander, a little bit of the files, then hit it with the finishing sander if you think it's good enough. You can always go back and hit it a little bit more. So let me go ahead and get started. Okay, I did start to do it with the belt sander, but just to show you that you can do it with files. If you got files in good condition, not ones that aren't worn out, even a single cut file, this is a double cut here, as long as you got the neck secured in there, it's going to cut. You can really take your time to kind of hand shave it. Helps if you had the little handle. Obviously this double cut's going to cut more, but it's going to leave deeper grooves on it. And just when you do almost a combination of draw filing, it makes it a little bit smoother. But you could do this inside, just take your time, whether you're watching TV or something like that, and you don't even need the belt sander. You can do it with just files as long as you got it secured pretty well. In fact, today's such a nice day, I think I'm going to go ahead and probably just use these files. But I went back and made my marks dark of where to stop. So when I get closer to here, I might hit this with the belt sander a little bit more. But this neck isn't super thick, so I'm not going to make it too much of a V. But it is possible, certainly possible, to do it with these files if you want to do it with files. Okay, so here I've done more with the belt sander. That's the trade-off when you use the belt sanders, or at least when you're doing a partial V, is you got more space. If you're doing a full V, you got more space to put it this way, and it definitely takes out the filings and whatnot, or if you're sanding sideways. But the nice thing with only doing part of the neck is probably be done faster, just because there's less wood. But you can see where the bulk of the wood is the hump. So I still have a ways to go, but I'm going to stop every once in a while, feel it, and hit it with the files. And like I said, it's easier when you got that skunk stripe in there, and you got the rosewood side. You can see exactly where to stop. But don't be surprised, if you're going to be sanding out the hump, it's going to look like this until you get down to where you want the V. But I think my belt is a little more worn out than I thought it was. Okay, so here I'm a little bit further along. What I've done, tried, different techniques and whatnot. Like I said, just take your time with it because you don't want to screw it up. But I found it helped a little bit just by moving it up and down like that, and then trying different stuff. And one thing you can do, so I've got to redraw my lines so I know where to stop. I'll have to blend it. But see, if you're trying to get a certain spot, say if there's a hump, you can just take your pencil, just color it a little bit. That way, when you're filing it, you're sanding it, whatnot, you know for sure that you're hitting it. So that's one thing you can do there. But you can see it's starting to shape up a little bit. Okay, so I've done some with the belt sander, and I did some with the double cut file. Kind of helps if you use these little cleaning brushes, cards for the files. Also helps to have an air duster. I usually use an air duster, stuff in a can. So now I'm going over with a single cut file and just getting it close. Then I'm going to hit it once with a finishing sander with maybe like some 100 grit paper, and then take this off and feel it with my hand and mark with a pencil where I think it needs more. So like I said, patience. You want to use a lot of patience when you're doing this technique because you don't want to screw up the neck. And so you can see here where I'm starting to blend it a little bit. But it would be easier if it was a rosewood neck because you'd have the line there and you'd have the skunk stripe as a center mark. But like I said, you can certainly do it with files, and definitely want to do you can do the kind of almost a drawing type combination file. That's what gets it really smooth, but you can get it out any humps and whatnot. So one thing I forgot to mention is that what you don't see me on the videos, sometimes I'm working on that side, sometimes I'm working on this side, and sometimes I'm holding the neck because this is not holding it as well as I thought it would. I think the last time I might have put a towel down, like a folded towel on the table, and then put the whole thing on it. I can't remember. It's been a while. Okay, so I've sanded a little bit and I've tried it with my hand, and went ahead and marked this, start taking some of that off because I held it this way, didn't feel as good as it did when I took it and I flipped it around the other way, and held it from this way, and that held it from both sides. Since this doesn't have the skunk stripe on it, it's hard to get it where it's centered, and so I'm kind of just customizing that center point so that it feels the best way in my hand for a right-handed player.